Rama uvacha Mune dehasya no dukkhang naiva chet paramatmanaha Sītā viyogad dukkhagnir mam bhasmi kurute katam. Śrī Rāma said, O sage, if neither the body nor the Supreme Self has sorrow, how is it that the fire of pangs of separation from Sītā consumes me? Sadanubhuyate yorta sanastiti tvayeritaha jayatang tatra vishvasa katang me muni pungava. O foremost of sages, it was stated by you that the objects which are constantly being experienced do not actually exist. How can faith in that statement arise in me? Anyotra nastiko bhokta yena jantu pratapyate sukhasya vapi dukkhasya tadbruhi munisattama. Is there an experiencer other than the body and the Supreme Self? If not, who is the experiencer of either pleasure or pain, by which the creature is scorched? Tell me that, O most excellent among the sages. Agastya uvacha Durgneya sangbhavi Māyā Taya sangmohyate jagat Māyā tu prakriting vidyan Māyinang tu Maheśvaram Tasya vayavabhutaistu Vyaptang sarvamidang jagat. Māyā, the delusive power of Śambhu, is difficult to discern. The world is deluded by that Māyā. Know that Māyā to be the primordial cause of the world, and Maheśvara to be the wielder of Māyā. All this world is indeed pervaded by the parts of that Māyā. Visfulinga yata vahner jayante kashta yogataha anadi karma sangbadhas tadvadangsha maheshituhu anadi vasanayukta kshetragyayati te smrita. The Supreme Lord is of the nature of infinite existence, consciousness, and bliss, is all-pervasive, and is the self of all. In the community of souls, just one aspect of Him abides in the hearts of all living beings. Jayante yadi bhutebhyo dehina panchabhautika atma yade kalasteshu paripurna sanatanaha. Just as the sparks of fire are generated when joined with firewood, the aspects of the Supreme Lord arise as souls joined with their beginningless karma. Associated with the beginningless impressions, they are called the knowers of the body, kshetrajñā. Mano buddhirahankarash chittang cheti chatushtayam Ananta karanam mitya hustatra te pratibimbita. Knowledgeable people say that mind, intellect, egotism, and memory together are called the antakarana, internal organ. The intelligent souls are consciousness reflected in that internal organ. So the experiencing souls are neither the physical body nor pure consciousness, but a compound of the two. Jivatvang prapnuyu karma phala bhoktara evate tato vaishayikang teshang sukhang va dukhameva va. The souls who are reflections of consciousness in the internal organ attain soulhood, and are the experiencers of the results of their actions. The experiences of pain or pleasure arising out of contact with sense objects are theirs alone. Ta eva bhunjate bhogaya tanesmin sharirake. Such souls alone experience the fruits of their acts in this body-mind, which is the locus of experience. Namaste. So Rama is trying to uproot the causes of his sorrow, and he is intelligently inquiring from sage Agastya. And so Agastya has answered him that neither the body nor the Supreme Spirit, God, can suffer. So then Rama asks, if neither the body nor the Supreme Self has sorrow, how is it that I am suffering? And he asks a pivotal question, that the objects being experienced, including the mental objects like suffering, do not really exist. So then, who is the one who suffers? Who is the experiencer of this relative world? Even the world doesn't exist, nor the experiencer, but still it seems real to us. How is that? Why is that? This is a pivotal question. Is there an experiencer other than the body and Supreme Self? Of course, the body is simply a network of senses. It's like a machine, a biological machine, a very intricately and intelligently designed and engineered machine, but still a machine. It does not function without the presence of the soul. The soul is the individual who is the experiencer of the body, its objects, the world, and so on. So what is this soul? This is a wonderful question. Agastya answers that the Māyā, the illusory potency of the Supreme Lord, is very difficult to understand. It cannot be said to either exist or not exist. For example, in the illustration of the rope and snake, does the snake exist? Well, we can't really say that it exists. But we can't really say that it doesn't exist either, because to the experiencer, it seems real. This is crucial. In the same way, even though the world, the mind, the ego, and all this are unreal, illusion, they seem to be real, and they seem to experience things, including pleasure, sorrow, intelligence, action, memories, imagination, and so many other things. How is this possible? So he says that Māyā is the cause of the world, and Maheśvara, Shiva, is the master of Māyā. Even though the Supreme Lord is Satchitananda, eternal existence, unlimited consciousness, and extreme bliss, boundless bliss, like an ocean, he is not really connected with the universe, but he creates these souls through his Māyā. Now, what is the soul? Agastya compares it to the sparks generated when wood is rubbed together to create fire. The sparks are neither the wood, the cause, nor the fire, the effect, but something in between that can't exactly be defined. Just like the snake, in the example of the snake and the rope, just like Māyā cannot be exactly defined, cannot be said to be existent nor non-existent. Because even though it is temporary, changeable, and therefore non-eternal, it appears to be real, to our mind and senses anyway. So he says, the Supreme Lord causes the arisal of the soul just like the sparks of the firewood, and they arise with beginningless karma. In other words, we cannot trace back the causes of the qualities of the soul, its embodiment, its environment, its conditioning, and so forth. These are beginningless. There is no time when these things began. So the soul, although the soul is created, we can't find its beginning. That's because it is Māyā. It doesn't really exist. It's like the snake. If the Supreme Lord is like the rope, then Māyā is like the snake, and so is the soul. So what is this? The knower of the body, the kshetrajñā. Mind, intellect, egotism, and memory. Together, they form the antakarana, or internal organ. Actually, the inner doer, literally. Anta, it means inside. Karana means the doer, the maker, the actor, the agent, the cause. Now, the antakarana, the soul, the individual living entity, seems to be conscious. Why is it conscious? How is it conscious? Well, just like the snake is a projection or reflection of the memories in the mind of its perceiver, in the same way, the apparent consciousness of the individual living being is a reflection of the supreme consciousness. And just like when you go to a carnival, there's a fun house and it has all these funny mirrors that reflect in a distorted way. The soul is like a funhouse mirror reflecting a distorted image of the consciousness of the Supreme. We went over this back in the series on Drishya Vivekaha, that the body, the mind, the intelligence, and the ego appear to be conscious. They're not really conscious because they're Māyā, but they appear so because they reflect the consciousness of the Supreme. But because they do so in a distorted way, therefore the ego seems to exist just like the snake instead of the rope. But because of ignorance, we don't see it. We think it's real, just like a mirage in the desert. If you look off in the distance in the desert, you can see what appears to be water. But if you run toward that water, it keeps moving back and back and back, and you never arrive at it. It's a mirage. It's due to atmospheric conditions. So in the same way, the ego, if you go looking for the ego, if you go looking for the individual soul, you never find it. And this is why scientists criticize religion. They say that the soul cannot be observed by anything, therefore it doesn't exist. Well then, who is the scientist? Who is using all these instruments and making all these experiments and doing all this thinking and logic and so on? Who is the intelligent scientist? They can't answer. They simply have all these theories about neurological brain function. It's so ridiculous. Whereas the Vedas give the answer thousands of years ago. It's a reflection. Just like the sun reflected in a pot of water seems to be, it looks just like the real sun. It's round, it's bright, and so on. But When a breeze ripples the surface of the water in the pot, the reflection is distorted. And similarly, the mind, intelligence, and false ego reflect the consciousness of the Supreme. But because they are disturbed by ignorance and desire, agitated by activities and so forth, the image they reflect is wavering, uncertain, inaccurate. So the process of self-realization means to quiet the ripples and make the mirror smooth and flat, not like a funhouse, but like a real mirror. And when one reaches this, it's called nirvikalpa samadhi. That's when the mirror of the mind is perfectly clean. There are no thoughts, no desires, and certainly no ignorance. And therefore, they reflect the consciousness of the Supreme accurately. And this is enlightenment. This is self-realization. This is the goal of all Vedic knowledge. Om Tat Sat. Om Shakti Om. Om Namah Shivaya.